لله وكفى الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن أول بيت وضع للناس للذي ببكة مباركا وهدى للعالمين وقال الله تبارك وتعالى في مقام آخر والفجر وليال عشر سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. All praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has created time. Due to the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created certain times more virtuous than other times. Certain months more virtuous than other months, certain days more virtuous than other days, certain nights more virtuous than other nights, and so on. This is the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because by granting us these special occasions, these special times, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encourages us to remember Him, to draw closer unto Him, to have some introspection, to look within ourselves, to see are we on the right path, to remind us of Allah, of the mercies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to grant us opportunities to acquire Jannah. And amongst those special occasions, we are on the cusp, we are right on the edge of one of those type of special occasions. These are the first 10 days of Zulhijjah. Before we speak about the days of Zulhijjah, these days of Hajj have a special significance with respect to the Baytullah. We know the Baytullah is there, we know the Kaabatullah is there, but how much do we know about the Baytullah and the Kaabatullah? So I'll mention just a few points before continuing with regard to the first 10 days of Zulhijjah. First, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Holy Quran, إِنَّ أَوَّلَ بَيْتِ وُضِعَ لِلنَّاسِ لَلَّذِي بِبَكَّةَ مُبَارَكًا وَهُدًى لِلْعَالَمِينَ. Verily, the first house appointed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for mankind was that at Makkah, full of blessings and guidance to all the worlds, to all people. This is the Baytullah. The Baytullah is called Makkah. The place is called Makkah. How did this place come about? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first created the world was covered with water. And at the point of the Baytullah, there was a bubble. And from this bubble, the bubble spread from the point of the Baytullah, spread throughout the world and formed all the land masses that we see today. The Baytullah was built 6 times. It was built sometimes, it was renovated sometimes, but there are 6 major occasions when the Baytullah was built. The first time it was built by the angels. The angels built the Baytullah 2,000 years before Hazrat Adam alayhi salam was created. Thereafter, when Hazrat Adam alayhi salam came down to this earth, Hazrat Adam alayhi salam built the Baytullah again. Thereafter, Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam, together with his son Hazrat Ismail alayhi salam. Thereafter, at the time of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the Quraysh rebuilt the Baytullah, and Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam placed the Hajar Aswad in its place. Thereafter, when the Baytullah was damaged, Hazrat Abdullah bin Zubair radiallahu ta'ala rebuilt it, and this time he included the Hatim as part of the Baytullah. Some years later, Hajjaj bin Yusuf encouraged the Khalifa of the time to have the Baytullah built again, and this time he excluded the Hatim as part of the Baytullah. The hatim is a semicircle which is attached to the one side of the Baytullah. That is considered to be part. If a person performs salah in the hatim, it is like he performs salah in the Baytullah, in the Kaaba itself. Thereafter, after Hajjaj bin Yusuf rebuilt the Baytullah, the Fuqaha got together and made a ruling that the Kaaba should not be rebuilt again. Why? Because it becomes a plaything in the hands of the Khalifa of the time, the ruler of the time. We make shukr to the Fuqaha for giving such a ruling, because every king that comes there would rebuild it and put his name, attach his name to it. Now, this Baytullah, people have sometimes mentioned this, people who do not understand Islam, understand the rulings of Islam, they say that you all are also idol worshippers. Why? Because you prostrate to the Baytullah. And the Baytullah is made of stone. Here also we are all performing our salah, we are facing the Baytullah. They say we are worshipping the Baytullah. No. What actually happens here is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends his tajalliyat down onto the arsh, onto his arsh. Tajalliyat is actually a nur, a type of nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This nur descends from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala onto the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Thereafter it continues through the alam and malakut, the world of the angels. And the angels make tawaf of this tajalliyat. That nur continues down, the tajalliyat continues down and falls on the place of the Baytullah. The stone structure we see there is merely an indication of in which direction we should point when we perform salah. Which direction we should point when we make sajda to this tajalliyat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then when Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam built the Kaabatullah, then thereafter Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent a cloud over the Baytullah. And the cloud extended far beyond the Baytullah itself. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam that wherever the edges of this clouds are, that area is called the Haram. That area is called the Haram. And today we know when a person travels to go for Hajj or Umrah, then they put on the ihram before they reach the boundary of the Haram. It's called the Hajj, the hudud of the Haram. The miqat. The miqat is actually the boundary of the Haram, where the Haram begins. Some other ulama mentioned that this tajalliyat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes down, and as it lands on the earth, it splashes outwards. Like water falling down, it falls and then it splashes. So this tajalliyat comes down and it splashes. Wherever it splashes and wherever it splashes reaches, that is the Haram. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created certain things in this world where a person never ever gets tired of. For example, looking at the sky. The sky is clear, the sky has clouds. No matter what the condition of the sky is, a person never ever gets tired of looking at the sky. He'll sit there, he'll go for a picnic, he'll lay on the grass, he'll look up at the sky, and as he looks at the sky, he sits and gets some peace, some solace, some comfort. It relaxes him. Tomorrow he'll go again, he'll look at the sky again, and he'll get the same peace and comfort from the sky. So a person never ever gets tired of looking at the sky. Then the color green. We never ever get tired of the color green. Therefore Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made all the plants and grasses around us green. Imagine if everything was red, what would our condition be? We look at it, our eyes will get sore. Whereas we look at the greenery, we get some kind of comfort from that greenery. Never ever get tired of looking at greenery. Well, you go visit somebody, you say, hey, your grass is so nice and green, I can sit and look at it the whole day. Then, water, drinking water. A person can live for 100 years, but every time he drinks water, he gets some type of enjoyment. He never ever gets tired of drinking water. Today we have cold drinks, we have juices, we have all different fancy types of drinks. They all add a new flavor to it to encourage us to drink it more and more. Yet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created water with no taste whatsoever. Today when we purify water, we remove all taste from it, all taste and smell from it. When insan makes drinks for us to drink, He adds taste and smells into it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala removed everything, and for us to enjoy that water, we try and remove every taste and smell from that water. So we never ever tire of drinking water. Also, looking at the Baytullah, a person can sit and look at the Baytullah and never ever get tired. Those of us who were fortunate enough that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted us, showered us with His rahmah and took us there, we understand how it is when a person sits on the mataf and looks at the Baytullah. Every time you look at it, you have this new, you experience the awe of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because of the tajalliyat that's coming down. Although you can't physically see this tajalliyat, but you can feel its effects. You can look at the Baytullah, you are actually looking at this tajalliyat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I was there once, a person, he was sitting, he was crying. I said, what's happening? He said, I'm going away today, I don't know when I'll see this Baytullah again. I'm crying, I'm sad because I'm not going to see it again. Allah knows when I'll see it again. And if you look at the Baytullah in the Arabian Peninsula, you'll see that in the world, in the geographic world, you'll see that it is positioned in such a position, in such a place where it forms the heart. It even looks like the heart of the world. It looks like our physical heart. Our physical heart is free on three sides. On one side is attached to the rest of the body. And it is slightly above the center of our body. Similarly with the position of the Baytullah, it's positioned slightly above the center of the world. But if you look at the land masses, it is positioned sort of in the center, and it has the same look as the heart of a human being. It's tilted a bit to the left, and it's only attached to one side to the other land masses. When Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam built the Baytullah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded him, وَأَذِّن فِي النَّاسِ بِالْحَجِّ. O Ibrahim alayhi salam, give the adhan and call people to come perform Hajj of the Baytullah. Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam said, but there's nobody here. And my voice isn't loud enough to travel the four corners of the world. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam, your duty is to call out. My duty is to make sure it reaches everybody's ears. So Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam gave the adhan, invited people to the Baytullah, invited people for Hajj. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent His invitation to the four corners of the world. Not only that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent His invitation also to the alam-e-arwah, the world of the souls. Every person heard it in the world of the soul, and ulama mentioned that the person that said labbaik, however many times he said labbaik, that is the amount of times he will be granted a tawfiq to visit the Baytullah. Now, this brings up one very interesting point, in that today you find that in many places in South Africa, in the world, where when people build a masjid, then they are very adamant, we need to put a loudspeaker on the minaret, we need to give the adhan loud, it must go as far as possible. The more decibels we have, the better it is. And if people, the non-Muslims around us, complain that it is disturbing them, we sit and come up in arms, we sit and fight. No, this will be fighting for the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That adhan in the loudspeaker is very good to have because people in the area hear it and they are reminded that it is the time of salah. But a person who is mindful of his salah will always know when the time of salah comes in. Which salah is coming, what time is the salah in the masjid, and he will make sure he gets there. Many of these people that make noise about the adhan being given on the loudspeaker, they are the ones who don't come to the masjid when the adhan is given. It is the muazzin's duty to give the adhan. Whether he gives it on loudspeaker or not, it is immaterial. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make sure that adhan reaches those people who want to perform salah. Now, with regard to the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah, there's just a few points with regard to the Baytullah. We must all make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes us for Hajj And also, if we have been for Hajj, in today's time it's difficult to go multiple times, we can still make dua for that. It is not outside the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to take us many times. We make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes us again for Hajj if we've already been. And if not, go for Umrah as many times as possible. Why? Because going for Umrah always renews our iman, renews our faith, increases and strengthens this bond between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like I mentioned, to recap, that there are certain times that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created which are more auspicious, more virtuous than other times. One such time is upon us, and that is the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. So it comes in the hadith of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that when Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentioned there are no days more virtuous, more beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. It is mentioned that the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah are more virtuous than the last 10 days of the month of Ramadan. Not the last 10 nights. The last 10 nights are more virtuous because they containing the night of power, Laylatul Qadr. But as far as the days of Ramadan goes, these first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah are more virtuous than the last 10 days of the month of Ramadan also. As far as the virtues of the 10 days of Dhul Hijjah is that first of all, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears an oath by these 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. Wal Fajr wal Layalin Ashr. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes an oath by the dawn, and thereafter Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes an oath by the 10 nights. The Mufassirin write that these 10 nights refers to the 10 days of Dhul Hijjah, the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. Like I mentioned just now, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam testified that these are the best days of the year. In these days, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards a person more for the good deeds that a person does in these first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. In this 10 days of Dhul Hijjah, we find the day of Arafah. The day of Arafah is a time when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives the sins of so many people that even shaitan becomes despondent. He isn't more disgraced on any other occasion like the day of Arafah. Because he says, I put so much effort in leading them astray, and they came on the day of Arafah, millions of them came to the plains of Arafah and asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgave all of them. What happened to all my efforts? Also during this last 10 days of Dhul Hijjah, we find the day of Eid-ul-Adha. What do we do during this first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah? The first thing is we should fast as much as possible. Obviously we cannot fast on the 10th of Dhul Hijjah because the 10th of Dhul Hijjah, 11th, 12th and 13th of Dhul Hijjah together with Eid al-Fitr, it is makruh tahrimi to fast on these 5 days. So the first 9 days we should fast as much as possible. Why? To attract the mercy, the rahmat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also, if a person has the means to perform Hajj and Umrah in the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. In this first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah, do more good deeds. Try and increase in our ibadat. Try and increase in whatever virtuous acts we can do. Perform salah, perform extra salah, perform our qadha salah. Make tilawat of the Holy Quran. Recite takbir, send salawat upon Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam and so on. Then on the 10th of Dhul Hijjah, we perform qurbani, sacrifice an animal. Then we increase in our istighfar on this first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. As far as a special takbir goes, we're supposed to make takbir as much as possible. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar in these first 10 days. It is sunnah to make takbir. Hazrat Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu used to go to the marketplace in these first 10 days and recite the takbir out loud. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. And people used to encourage people to also make the takbir. It is sunnah to read it loudly for men and softly for females. Also at the same time we should make lots of tahmeed. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. Also tahleel, La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah. And also tasbih, subhanallah, subhanallah. So in these first 10 days, we should take the opportunity to sit with it on a regular basis, at least a few hundred times subhanallah. How long does it take to say subhanallah? Read a few hundred times Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar. We will only benefit from this. A few things with regard to fasting, like I mentioned, makruh to fast on 10th, 11th, 12th and 13th. Takbir tashriq, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Lillahi alhamd. We recite this from the Fajr of the 9th of Zulhijjah until the Asr of the 13th of Zulhijjah. After performing our Farz Salah, we for men to recite it loudly, for female to recite it softly, silently. As far as the cutting of the hair and nails go, you will find a person, he is negligent of his Salah, he is negligent of the Sunnah, but when it comes to cutting hair and nails, which is a good thing also, but his priorities are a bit mixed up. We say from the 1st of Zulhijjah, we don't cut our nails, our hair, trim our hair, cut our nails, till our Qurbani is done. This act is mustahab. It is beloved, it will grant you reward. But now, if we cut our hair, if we do have to cut our hair, if we do have to cut our nails because they are too long, we forgot to cut on this thing, you should cut it. Because your cleanliness is more important in this occasion. It is also mustahab to remain clean also at the same time. So if a person forgets to cut his nails, and his nails are too long, then he should cut it, he should clip it. It shouldn't be that his Qurbani is not going to be accepted. Number one. Number two is that you find other people with regard to the hair. For some reason, people are very sensitive with regard to the hair. People are very shy to go bald. People are very shy to have their hairstyles messed up in it. I still can't understand why people are so obsessed with the hair. When it comes to the day of Eid, Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Adha, we have to go to the barber the day before Eid. Why? We have a nice hairstyle, a nice haircut. It is mustahab not to cut your hair, number one. Number two, if we do have to cut our hair, please cut it according to the Sunnah. For an auspicious day, we are beautifying ourselves by doing something which is contrary to the Sunnah. How can it beautify you in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? I seen a person, one of the Eids that passed, his hair, I don't know where they got his hairstyle from, it's like a small little patch here. It looks like a mop that's falling apart. A little patch here, everything else is blessed, but on top is a small little patch there. Slowly, the hairstyles are becoming more ridiculous. Try and at least adhere to the Sunnah. There is no greater ibadat than following the Sunnah of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So as far as cutting the hair and nails, it is mustahab. As far as Qurbani goes, a person should try and slaughter his animal for his Qurbani himself. It is better for him to do that. If he cannot do that, at least be present when your animal is being slaughtered. It is mustahab to be present when your animal is being slaughtered, whether you are slaughtering or somebody else is slaughtering as well. If you send it away, there's not a problem. But if you are doing it here, try and be present when your animal is being slaughtered. It is mustahab. Also, with regard to the meat, it is not allowed for you to sell the meat. You can't tell the person that's helping you clean the animal that you clean it and payment, I'll give you so and so parts of the animal. That's not jais. You are paying him. You pay him separately, and you're going to give him a gift. You give him a gift from the meat that you have left. It is advisable to give a third away in charity, a third you use for yourself, and give a third to family and friends, whether they are rich or not, immaterial. But if a person wants to give away more, very good. If a person wants to give away more in charity to the poor, even better. The first 10 days of Zulhijjah begins on Monday night, if they sight the moon. So on Monday night we should go out and look for the moon. If we happen to see the moon, then the first of Zulhijjah will begin on Monday night. If not, it will be Tuesday night. If it's Monday night, then the 9th of Zulhijjah will be on Wednesday, the following Wednesday. Now fasting on this day on the 9th of Zulhijjah is very auspicious, is very meritorious. First of all, it is sunnah to fast on the 9th of Zulhijjah. then that person who fasts on the night of Dhul Hijjah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives all his previous year's sins and also the coming year's sins as well. So if you cannot keep fast on the first 8 days, any of the first 8 days of Dhul Hijjah, the least we can do is to fast on the night of Dhul Hijjah. Like I mentioned in the beginning, these occasions Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us these occasions to acquire His pleasure, to acquire Jannah. It gives us an opportunity to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to put into perspective our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You will know something that in this day and age that we are living in today, the object of whatever is happening out there in the media and throughout the world is to take us away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are given the message that if you are a good person, you do good deeds, meaning you give in charity, you help the poor, you help the elderly, you are respectful to your peers, you are respectful to the elders, you are respectful to your parents and so on. You don't steal, you don't lie, you don't cheat, then you are a good person, there's no need for anything else. By saying so, that they are removing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His beloved Rasul from the equation. The whole person in this world is a disbeliever, and whatever good deeds he does, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards him for his good deeds in this world. And for the believers, when they do good deeds, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards us in this world as well as the year after. We have to maintain this contact with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to maintain this contact with Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And these 10 days are a reminder for us of our obligations towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, towards Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And whenever we are given the opportunity, we are business people, and an opportunity comes to make a few more rands, we take the opportunity. We are working, and on the sideline we get an opportunity to make some money, we make some money. We grab that opportunity with two hands. Here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us another opportunity, giving us such an opportunity where we can acquire His pleasure, His rahmat, His mercy, acquire Jannah, acquire Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Himself. All we got to do is to refocus towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the tawfiq to realize the importance of these special occasions. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the tawfiq to increase our ibadat in these first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those ones that are making qurbani, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our qurbani as well. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in these 10 days, like the rest of the year as well, protect us from committing any sin. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.